This is me and my dad. I've always considered our relationship to be a defining aspect of my life. So much of who I am is tied to my experience of that relationship. Unfortunately, most of that experience has been struggle and anger. I didn't know what I wanted to say when I started this film, but I knew that there was something important in the father-son relationship. I decided to speak with other men about their experiences in hopes that I could find something of value to share with the world and find healing for myself.
My memories of him, like what few there were always him, telling a funny joke or, just being like a big goofball or making egg salad sandwiches.
Volatile in, 1 minute and, helpful in another way, like taking me places, showing me new things,
Quiet, reserved, non-communicative.
I still was mad at him when he died. I never got really over how he talked to me.
I still feel a lot of anger when I think about him. There's a lot of resentment towards him.
I mean, the overarching realization for me in my life is that I never really knew my dad at all.
Why don't you join the Air Force like your old man? I heard that many, many times. I would just about flip. I didn't know how to take that. I would never join the Air Force. It was the last thing I'd do.
I think he wanted me to be something other than who I kind of naturally am, and that ended up causing a lot of tension between us.
So I was 10 when my dad died, and it was raining. I don't know, just something about the rain. To this day, will always, bring that memory back to me. Just for 1 year, he came back when I was 10, from 9 to 10, and before that, he was gone. I don't know. I guess he had a kind of a bout of conscience at a certain point, and realized that he had a son out there, and came back and tried to form a relationship with me. But he was so far gone in his addictions and just his general wayward life and his deep problems just made it impossible for him to be a father, a true father.
All of the drinking and the theater of alcohol, all the men who go crazy and drink in front of their children and show off and scream all night. I went through a lot of that.
You do the obvious ones like sadness, anger, bitterness, but it's so complex. You can't just define them in one or two simple words. It's just carrying around a broken mirror, hoping that one day you'll be able to put the piece together and see who you are.
The first question he always asks me is, "Are you working?" And if my answer is, "Yeah, I've got this shitty job that I hate," then his reply is, "Oh, good. Good that you're working."
What was the wisdom he was passing on to me? I think it was probably, okay, if I can answer it, it's just work until you drop dead at anything you can work at. It's a job. Nobody likes their job. That's another thing he used to always say. Nobody likes their job. You're not supposed to be happy. You're just supposed to work.
I don't think that he gets what my goals are in life, and he's not trying to ask about whether I've accomplished anything that matters to me.
I didn't do the right thing. I didn't join the Air Force. Everybody else in my family owns their own home, has held down a job their entire life. I'm the outsider. See, I'm painting myself as a failure because I didn't join the Air Force like my old man, because that was the expectation. Do I feel like a failure? I feel like a failure anyway because I don't even know what the expectation is anymore. It's gone.
the expectations that he had on me still kind of weigh on me a lot. It's something that I carry around with me every day. Our interests were at odds a lot. I wish he could have tried to nurture my interests and work with who I am, instead of cutting down what he saw as negative or unproductive. I think he didn't know how to connect with me. And that's a major problem of his in general, is just not being able to connect with people, not being able to communicate with people openly.
When I was in the cancer ward, my father visited quite a bit, and he was very sad. And I think that was our moment to bond. Like, if he was saying goodbye to me, he would have wanted to say something, but he never really did. I think tried to show that, you know, I'm here, I don't want you to die.
I've actually never thought about what it'd be like if I had never known my father. Like, how can you possibly think about, like, what would it be like, what would I be like without having experienced, like, extreme trauma of, like, losing a parent at a young age, you know? Like, I can't even imagine what that would make me today. That's just not even fathomable. That was the defining moment of my life.
I left home when I was 17, and started living on the streets. And I didn't call my parents for, I think, 3 months or something like that. And one day my dad came around and was trying to find me. And I happened to be out of town that weekend. And he was just asking around all the street kids downtown Toronto if they had seen me, if they knew me. And nobody knew where I was at the time. And when I got back into town, a friend of mine told me that they had seen him sitting in his car crying because he couldn't find me. And I remember that as being really surprising, because I honestly did not believe that he cared about me. It's funny how when you're doing the work of your soul, the experiences you need to have fall right in your path. During the making of this film, my dad, who lives on the other side of the country, got in touch with me on Facebook. He was in BC and wanted to come visit me. The universe had scheduled for us a long overdue heart-to-heart. I told him about all the wounds that have never healed, the weight that I've carried all my life, the resentment that I've harbored. I was surprised to learn that he was largely unaware that there was any dysfunction in the relationship at all. This is a perfect illustration of the need to communicate with your children. They could be suffering without you even knowing it. The father is every boy's example of what a man is supposed to be. How do we want to raise the next generation of men? Do we want to continue in the trend of men suffering in silence, unable to express themselves, drowning their pain in alcohol until they unload their frustrations on the people in their lives? Men who leave their families, who feel entitled to women's bodies? Or do we want to raise a generation of men who are open, who have the ability to process their emotions in a healthy manner, who use their minds before their fists, who respect and value people of all genders? Fathers, you have a responsibility to show the next generation a picture of what this kind of man can look like. The future is in your hands. Living on the road, my friend, is gonna keep you free and clean. Now you wear your skin like iron, and your breath's as hot as kerosene. You weren't your mama's only boy, but a favorite one it seems. You made her cry when you said goodbye. Faded into your dreams. Sancho was a bandit, boys. His horse as fast as polished steel.